The nighttime bombing of Dresden by Allied forces made history. This is the story. February 13th, 1945. It's a quiet evening in the German city of Dresden, a city popularly known as Florence on the Elbe, renowned for its striking beauty and vibrant cultural setting. Before the war, people flocked to Germany's seventh largest city to visit its architectural monuments, explore its rich collection of art, and explore the music and theater scene. Dresden had escaped World War II largely unscathed, but for a few minor bombing raids. All this was about to change. At 9:51 p.m. on February the 13th, air raid sirens were heard by the city's approximately 600,000 residents. Inhabitants had so far nursed delusions that the Allies wouldn't dare attack a city with such immense cultural treasures. Others claimed that the Allied powers intended to crown Dresden the capital of post-war Germany. There were also rumors of an aunt of Winston Churchill residing somewhere in the city. These delusions quickly withered as the first Allied bombers came into view some 20 minutes later. The first bombs hit the city at around 10:13 p.m. Over the next 15 minutes, roughly 250 Lancaster bombers of the RAF dropped nearly 900 tons of explosives on the Saxon city. The bombs were a mixture of high explosives and incendiaries. The high explosives were intended to rupture water mains and blow off roofs, doors, and windows to expose the interiors of the buildings and create an airflow to feed the fires caused by the incendiaries that followed. German air defenses had been depleted by the need for more weapons to fight the invading Soviet forces in the east. The Allied bombers thus faced negligible resistance and rained destruction down on the city uncontested. The situation on the ground in Dresden was apocalyptical. The city, largely built with brick, sandstone, and dry wood, erupted into flames. Survivors recount the furious winds which fed the blaze and compounded its effect. One survivor recounts that the fire was no longer pinkish red, it had turned a furious white hot, and the sky was just one mountain of cloud visible from more than 100 miles away. Reinforcements from nearby cities struggled to contain the blaze. Only 2.5 hours later, the second wave of bombers appeared. Over the next 48 hours, 3 more raids were carried out jointly between the British RAF and American USAF. A total of 4,000 tons of explosives were dropped on Dresden within a widening radius targeting key industrial and strategic locations. Of the 796 Allied bombers that took part in the raid, only 7 were lost. The firestorm created in the initial raid now reached a fury of devastation that confounds the imagination. Historian Donald Miller writes vividly of the hell unleashed. He says, "People's shoes melted into the hot asphalt of the streets, and the fire moved so swiftly that many were reduced to atoms before they had time to remove their shoes. The fire melted iron and steel, turned stone into powder, and caused trees to explode from the heat of their own resin. People running from the fire could feel its heat through their backs, burning their lungs. The city remained ablaze for weeks, and the dead were unceremoniously cremated. Fear of disease led the SS to set up mass funeral pyres and mass graves. The stench permeated the city, and the final resting place of thousands of residents remains unknown to this day. Although varying reports of the death toll have been reported, studies carried out more recently point to a number between the 25,000 to 27,000 range. More than 150,000 people were also estimated to have lost their homes and livelihood. Soon after the raid, the Germans issued a strong political response. They claimed that Dresden had no war industries, that it was a city of culture. Leaflets containing photographs of the death and destruction were released stating that 200,000 had died. These leaflets reached the British public, provoking a general unease. It was the first time the public in Allied countries seriously questioned the military actions used to defeat the Germans. The Allies maintained that Dresden was a city of immense strategic importance, with more than 110 factories and 50,000 workers supporting the German war machine with munitions, anti-aircraft guns, field guns, optical goods, and more. Allies also reported that Dresden's train and traffic routes were of immense tactical importance, and shutting them down would severely compromise the German war effort. It's hard to deny that the bombing of Dresden had drastically weakened the Germans' ability and resolve to defend themselves. The Red Army, by this point, had made serious inroads on German territory in the east. The end of manufacturing in Dresden, along with the shutdown of arterial transport and communication lines, seriously hampered any resistance that the Reich was putting up. Regardless, historians are keen to point out that most of the industry in Dresden was located in the suburbs surrounding the city, and that the residential heart of the city could have been spared with equal, if not more, effect on the German war machine, raising questions as to the real intent of the bombings. It is said that Winston Churchill had been advised that a crushing blow to German morale along with the advancements of the Soviets could bring about a swift end to the war. Questions are still being asked today pertaining to the morality of the Dresden bombing and whether they constituted war crimes. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload.